What might the first two rounds of 2025 drafts look like? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Saturday, September 21st. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. And earlier in the week, you revealed your way too early first two rounds for 2025. So let's jump in. The first round begins with Shohei Ohtani, who has created the 50-50 club all on his own, followed by Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Ronald Acuña, Jose Ramirez, and Mookie Betts. I think the name that stands out here, Scott, is Acuña, who will be returning from yet another torn ACL. Sounds like you think he will be ready to go on opening day.
Yeah, it'll be a month earlier than the last one. It'll be to the opposite knee. He did have some struggles returning from that first torn ACL, some continued pain in the knee that he tried to play through, and it seemed to impact his hitting. It'll be on the less important leg, the left leg, and he'll have the experience of having recovered from the first one. I think it'll go better. So yeah, it is kind of a glass half full approach here for Acuña. Obviously, I reserve the right to shift him down the rankings if what we're hearing this spring warrants it. But I think if things seem fine, this is the right spot for him, because in Ohtani, Judge, and Witt, you have three league-breaking talents. And after that, you have really good players, but just that's where the drop-off is. And I think Acuña, as we saw in 2023, has he's capable of being a league-breaking talent too. So the upside is just so otherworldly that it's worth taking the extra risk that comes with them coming off knee surgery.
Picks 7 through 12 in the first round: Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker, Gunnar Henderson, Elly De La Cruz, Francisco Lindor, Yordan Alvarez. This all checks out for me. I don't think there's anything too polarizing here. Maybe some people argue Elly De La Cruz could be a little bit higher, but
yeah,
it all seems to make sense.
That's the feedback I've gotten from people who've looked at the article here, and there is an article up if you want to read my explanation for every one of these players. They want Elly De La Cruz higher. It is, if you don't mind an exaggerated build, I should say. If you don't mind an exaggerated build, obviously Elly De La Cruz is going to be an outlier for stolen bases. But among the first rounders here, he's also a liability in batting average, and I don't think that's going to change. I think 250, maybe 260 tops, somewhere 240, 260, let's say. And also, unless the Reds lineup vastly improves, he's not going to be a huge source of RBI. So he's going to be a liability in two categories while giving you a huge advantage in the one. If you like to build that way, fine. And look, I still have him 10th overall, but I would personally rather take an all-around threat like a Kyle Tucker or Gunnar Henderson over him.
Into the second round we go. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Fernando Tatis, Julio Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, Trey Turner, and Tarek Skubal. We can do a whole hour podcast on this group of players, but we finally get our first pitcher in here. And look, some polarizing talents. Can Tatis stay healthy? Julio Rodriguez down season, and Carroll had this huge second half, but the first half was anything but.
Yeah, those three after Vladimir Guerrero, Fernando Tatis, Julio Rodriguez, and Corbin Carroll, they're the ones. They're the most divisive ones. All three disappointed. Carroll did mostly redeem himself in the second half, but even when he was playing well, the batting average was kind of in the 260 range. And it was more like a 35 steal pace than the 50 steal pace we saw in his rookie season. It's actually a profile that plays better in points leagues than 5x5. If those numbers translate exactly, is he capable of a higher batting average than that 260 mark? Yes, but it's hard to know exactly what to expect from Corbin Carroll. And it's hard for me to imagine at this point that he could possibly be better than he showed as a rookie. That made him a top 5 pick overall. So second round here, the only question is, does he need to go ahead of Fernando Tatis and Julio Rodriguez, or behind them, or right in between them? I still say those other two have a higher ceiling. And so I'm giving, you look at their StatCast page, it's all red everywhere. Big time underachievers in terms of what StatCast said they deserved. And I'm still going to trust in that given some of the monster seasons we've seen from Tatis and J-Rod in the past.
Back half of the second round, Zach Wheeler, Jarren Duran, Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman, Rafael Devers, and Jackson Chourio. 2 names here, Scott. Big breakouts in 2024, Jarren Duran and Jackson Chourio. In your opinion, worthy of second-round picks?
Yeah, I would say so. Jarren Duran, it kind of, if I know it kind of, we kind of perceive it as this out of nowhere breakout, I should say, out of nowhere breakout, but it does seem like a logical next step from what he did in 2023, when a big part of the issue for him then was just playing time. And the profile looks pretty unimpeachable to me for Jarren Duran. So I like him to follow up. I'm not sure there's a big gap between him and Corbin Carroll when all things are said and done. And then Jackson Chourio, I mean, you look at June 1st on, he was a stud, and he did that at all of 20 years old. So I think the sky's the limit for what he could be. I wonder if I have him a little too low here, ranking him behind quote unquote boring types like Freddie Freeman and Rafael Devers. And by the way, Jackson Merrill not far behind.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.